welcome to another night of chess and psychology. I am Dorsa Derakhshani, sitting in a very weird, sunny position in St. Louis. I did not anticipate this ray of sunshine to be this direct in my face, but by the time I realized it was a little too late to change my setup. But sun will be down soon, and I'm kind of very sore because I also got vaccinated today, so I'm quite excited about that. If you have the opportunity to get vaccinated, please do so we can beat this virus. So a lot of fun stuff here. Today we're gonna talk about Korchnoi. I have two different games ready, but usually we only get to one game analysis, so hopefully we're just gonna do our best and analyze that, and then per usual do the switch to Twitch and go from there. Also, for those of you who are wondering, my desk is extremely messed, well, not messy, just stuff here. I have the iPad here, there's a cat right here, tea here, water here, microphone here. It's like everything is just, I need a bigger desk. But please, my biggest request from you is to participate as much as you can. Make sure to engage with me, make sure to share your opinion, because that's why we're here, to hear your opinion. If I wanted to just look at these games, I've already looked at these games. If I wanted to explain to Pishi, well, I mean, he's a cutie pie, so never mind. I take it back. I'm just here for Pishi. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started, and I will do my best not to be blinded by the sun. Oh, that's a song. Alright, so this is a game between Korchnoi and Karpov in World Championship, game 29 in 1978. So it's quite an old game, and this game is 20 years younger than me. Well, I mean, I guess older than me. It's 20 years before I was born. So, and I'm gonna be 23 soon. My mother had me when she was my age. So at this point in my life, I feel like a kind of a weird feeling, just because, you know, she grew a human by the time she was my age. And I think she did a good job in raising this specific human. And I'm just, you know, worrying about school and grades and stalkers. I'm kidding, no stalkers. Just cats. Pichi has two stray cats. Alright, so I gave you some little story of the day too. Let's go ahead and keep a little bit more chessy. We'll come back to stories too, because as the day will go by, in the next 3 hours, my arm is going to be extremely sore, so I'll need help from you too. So, wanted to ask, does anybody actually play this opening? Anybody knows this opening, plays it? How do you guys feel about this opening? It's not, I mean, this is just one of those openings that can transpose to a lot of different things, so it's understandable if, you know, you don't know it, or you've seen this in a different version. But I've got the chat here, if I don't get blinded by the sun, and it does look weird. I agree with that statement. Also, let me move my name a little smaller so it looks just a tiny bit better. Alright. It is kind of a weird, like, reti. It's not reti, because reti would start with knight f3. It's just I want to say English, but there is going to be a d4, so it can transpose to other things as easily too. So, c5, and so the thing is that we think Karpov probably didn't expect this line, that's why he played c5, and yeah, so that's kind of like a little surprise that Korchnoi probably did to Karpov. Okay, so now, what should happen to this knight? It literally has only one square to go to. Anywhere else, it would be lost. So now, how do you think white should follow? Because I don't play this opening as white or as black, and to me this is quite a weird position. You have the chance to bring out this knight, you have the chance to push d4. I think those should be your two main choices. So what do you think? Oh, Manish, I apologize. I just saw your comment. I am. I don't believe it. I don't think that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't happen. Yeah, Magnus is a great chess player. What would we do without them? Yeah. So let's go for d4. Oops, let's go for d4. To be fair, this idea with knight f3 is also possible. If knight c6, then you play d4, and then you're trying to poke some of those weak squares. And it's quite possible to play that, and it's a very sharp line. But in this game, Korchnoi decided to go for d4. Take, knight c6, queen, oh, queen e4 seems to be doing well. Hello, kitty. You might be seeing a kitty move around because he just woke up from his nap and he's quite confused on where to go because he's a big boy and my desk is filled. Fishy? Okay. Alright. I apologize for the small delay due to a furry creature. Yeah, I was talking about queen f3, queen on e4 being on its kind of prime position because you know, like you see this e4 square and you might want to immediately jump with the knight, but queen on e4 has potentials for bishop d3s, knight f3, knight d4s. Doesn't block this bishop, but then there's no knight f6, so we're fine. Nothing is gonna attack me just yet. So there, I really like it. If someone played something like f5, which was a game that happened to Korchnoi maybe about 20 years prior to this game, he played queen e2 and then just developed, took control over center a little bit better, and boom, long castle. So this is another thing that is definitely possible, but Karpov did not want to get himself into these f5 lines, and he followed by d6. Now, I want to ask you, what should white do? And while you're thinking about what should white do, I'll tell you a little weird thing that Karpov had already used about full hour for this first 10 moves or so. We're not even on move 10. So that's why it's hypothesized that he was not prepared for this opening because, you know, when you use an hour in the first 7-10 moves, that is not really ideal. Alright. So what do you think white should do? Oh, Arvin, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been so far. It's been quite a lovely New Year, New Nowruz. Well, Nowruz means literally New Year, New Day. So, Musa, I've heard that too, but I highly doubt that's going to be true unless he says it himself and he actually doesn't participate in tournaments. Then I don't really believe that because he, I mean, if he leaves chess, then it means that everybody can leave chess, and where does that leave me and my love for chess and you know. All right. So I see a lot of ideas about knight f3 or pawn f4, and oh my god, this sun is brutal. Um, so yes, knight f3 is the best way to go. Now, if you decide to, for example, take it with the knight, I can just take back, and that's fine. I have 3 against 2 on the queen side, and it will be quite pleasant to go for this. The d line, d file is faster for white to grab. The 3 against 2 on the queen side will be a more pleasant endgame structure. So overall, white has a better strategic chance. Also, if you play something like queen a5, I could easily take it over here. And this is a game between our dear Yasser. We all know Yasser, right? When you subscribe to our Twitch channel, you get to hear him laugh. That's actually true. It's a game that was played in 1980 in US Championship. Yasser was white. So that was another way that this game could go. However, after knight f3, this game Karpov took. Now, we most likely want to take this back, right? We already talked about if take, we would simply take back, and if something like knight f6, it's still the 3 against 2 that we mentioned, and it doesn't really help black. So let's not worry about that. Now, what if this knight f6? What should we do now? What do you think white should do? We got 2 options. Either we gotta attack something just as value as our queen, ergo opponent's queen, or we should move our queen. Which one do you think we should do? I will also take bets on, or just generous suggestions on when will the sun stop hitting me in the face. If we retreat, it might be a little weird because we would have to move it back up again anyways after knight takes e5. Yeah, knight takes c6, exactly. If you chose to take it back, oh hallelujah, give me that free pawn and attacking the rook and giving check. If you play bishop d7, then I'll just move this queen away anywhere, honestly. So what about knight takes e4? We take that, you take this. What do you think? Is that a good choice for black? Do you think that's something Karpov would like to get himself into? And I really do look like a weird, glowy person in this sun. Let's see if I could shift the light somehow. Yeah, well, I don't think the only problem is king takes d8. I think that there are bigger problems than that. For example, right now, the thing is that, first of all, we don't necessarily have to take it over here. We could try to, take a pawn. And if you try to move this knight, well, then you lose your rook. If you try to take it back, then I'll take this back. And I already have an extra pawn. Yeah, exactly. So even though knight f7 doesn't look as glorious, knight f7 is totally doable. What about, alright, so let's say no knight takes e4. Let's say black needs to do something else. So black can't take over here. He also can't really take over here, so he should move the queen. Where should the queen go? Well, queen should probably go somewhere that's not under attack by the knight, yeah. Queen b6 or d6. Queen b6 is more desirable because Now, well, you have to move this queen, and when you move this queen, then I can pick this knight up with either my queen or the pawn. So let's say queen f3. Now, let's say if queen takes. If queen takes, then this is a very pokeable weakness, and I don't think Karpov would like to play this very much. So that's why I don't think Karpov would enjoy this. So this was kind of like, yeah, the pawns will be very split. Exactly, thank you. So that's why Karpov decided to just take with the pawn, and it's very just, I don't know how to explain. I don't want to say sad, I don't want to say scary. I'm trying to come up with the right word. It's more like Korchnoi didn't really do much, and this is move 11 in the game. Korchnoi didn't do too many crazy things. He just developed. He had a little crazy opening, but he just got his pieces out, and he simply got an amazing position. So that's why I think it's kind of unfair for Karpov, and that's something that I've done to people. I've gotten much better openings. I've got a much better game right at the opening. So that's something that happened to Karpov, and one of the reasons that I'm showing this game is to emphasize the importance of knowing your openings. If you play an opening, you should have a quite clear idea of what is happening in that game. Karpov didn't, or he wasn't prepared for this specific line in the specific game, and we see how badly he got punished. So, oh, Pishi! I apologize for your ears. I am not sure if you guys. I hope everybody's ears is fine. I just had a. My cat has separation anxiety. He always wants to be around me. He's a cutie pie, but he brushed against the microphone. I apologize deeply for your ears. Okay, sorry for that. Let's continue. What do you think white should do? White should definitely develop, definitely castle, kingside. Definitely try and start taking over the d file. Definitely start pushing some pawns on the queen side. So you kind of have an idea just how should we execute this. Why Steady Eddie? Okay, getting the bishop out, castle, something like b3. Alright, I like that. The one thing is that kind of have to be careful because bishop, I like the idea with bishop d3, but it's better to go for e2. Why? The reason is that we might want to, ooh, the sun is going down, bring the bishop to f3 because our game is going to be in the queen side. We have advantage in the center slash queen side, so we would want to be using that. We don't want to have to jump from this line to that side. We don't want to do that, right? So bishop e2 makes more sense because you're not really going to be constructing an attack on the king side, at least just yet. So, bishop e2. Now what? Let's say Karpov in this game played bishop b7. Even if he tried something like bishop e7, we would still castle, and as suggested earlier, we would just fianchetto that other bishop, or not necessarily fianchetto. I kind of want to create that stable pawn structure for just now. Darius, yeah, I hear you. You were considering bishop on g2. Um, Good question. Let's go back to the initial disposition. Well, my thing is, if he played g3 just yet, then this gives the opponent a little, some ideas on my king. c5 is not doable just yet, but what if like rook b8? What if I start to prepare for c5? They'll say you castle, then c5. Now you gotta move the queen, take the bishop. I don't want to have to. I have a pretty decent advantage, pretty decent idea on the queen side, so I don't want to mess that up. So yeah, kind of don't really want to make that change. So bishop e2, bishop b7. Finally, whoa, whoa, whoa. Sorry, wrong click. Castle. I apologize for the little spoilers. Um, c5. Now my queen is under attack. I would ask where should the queen go, but you kind of already saw that. So queen h3. Queen g3 is also possible. I like queen g3 too, but bishop d6 can make it a little um, unfortunate. So queen h3, bishop e7. Now, what should we do? For those of you who were lucky enough to not see my mouse slip, what do you think we should do? At some point we will want to play b3, at some point we will want to play rook d1, but what now? Hello, what's going on? I got Isadora, I got Hey Buddy. I like the idea of b3. Oh, thank you. Let me ask you, is this bishop stronger than my bishop? Ooh, hi kitty. Because if opponent's light squared bishop is stronger than my light squared bishop, then we should definitely change them, right? Alright, so let's go exchange them. Yep. This was quite a hard move for me to decide on too, because I know that I want to play bishop f3, but just the when of it could be quite questionable. When should I make this exchange? So, bishop f3, and now black castled. Now, should we take it or should we wait for kind of like keep the stare down, keep the tension? I like the idea that we have this bishop on f3. We could most definitely take that, but is there a need for it? I agree, there is no real reason to take it just yet. Just keeping the bishop where it is, nothing wrong with that. So if we don't want to exchange, then what else can we develop in this position? Because there are still a bunch of pieces that deserve to be developed. Ooh, g4, yes, too ambitious. Remember, this is a game between Korchnoi and Karpov. These are some chess giants that they don't necessarily want to, have all these weird g4s on the board if it's not absolutely necessary. So what else? Exactly, this is not Marshall. So the thing about getting the bishop out is that you have to be careful because taking on b2 can be quite scary, and we don't want that stable position of ours to collapse. So if I agree that we should get the bishop out, so let's play b3 first. Exactly. Then we can decide where to place the bishop. Now, let's say after b3, rook goes to d8. Then what should we do? Where should this bishop go? I don't necessarily like the idea of bishop going to b2. Okay, so I see a lot of ideas about where to place the bishop. I don't think bishop g5 is that needed. Bishop e3, I like bishop e3. Bishop e3, trying to keep a pressure on c5, maybe knight a4 will come soon. I like this. Now, black played bishop c6, and Korchnoi still went ahead and played this knight a4, which is just a little weird for me, because after knight a4, first of all, no take because a8 will fall, so that's not a problem. We're not really worried about that. But after knight a4, now the queen can just go to c7. I can't really take it over here because then this and c5 falls. So if I can't take this, then what should I do? Oh, kitty kitty. So what do you think? What should we move? Yeah, exactly. Nice. Yes, I think GMPC also agrees because he's wiggling his tail, wagging his tail. Take, take, and then rook d1. Ah, wrong move. Rook d1. This game is all about pressure. It's not about who can take what immediately. It's about pressure, 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 and even more pressure. So, what do you think should happen? Now, what do you think black should do? I don't think black should take this rook. At the same time, this knight could be pretty relocated This bishop could be relocated. This rook still needs to be developed. So maybe let's start with the rook. Rook c8. Now, here is where it gets a little new to me, because up until here I thought that everything was normal, everything was following quite a nice pattern. So, no, I do not think that Magnus is leaving chess. That's I don't know how this rumor started, but in my opinion, it's just a rumor. Yes. Unless we see like Magnus doesn't actually play for like 2-3 years, then okay. Everybody can also take breaks. If he feels like he needs a break from professional chess and he just wants to focus on his personal life, why not? I've done that. So, oh yeah, exactly. Bishop on f6, knight on d4. I like that too. So that's quite a nice idea for what black could do. So let's think for white. So right now, we gotta try and figure out how to develop, well, how to reorganize our pieces, because right now my queen is a little weirdly placed, my rook could be better, so those two are stuff that could be better. So let's start with queen. Let's go queen g3. Maybe I want to do something like this. Maybe I want to go to e5. I'm just keeping my options open. If knight e4, now we have queen f4, and then queen h4, and this is quite nice. I like this. I kind of have a better harmony, and I kind of mess with your pieces. I like messing with opponent's pieces. So let's say no knight e4. Let's say after queen g3, bishop d6. Now what should we do? Where should we go with the queen? I also think this is also an April 1st or April Fool joke. How do you call it? No, not necessarily queen g5, just queen h4. Queen h4, normal, simple, keep it chill. Now after queen h4, black plays bishop e7, which kind of indicates that if I played queen g3, would you repeat? Kind of raised that question. So after queen h4, bishop e7, white went ahead and decided to not even try to play something like that, and he played f3. f3 is so super duper cool and a little weird, because we want to play queen f2 and we want to start poking on c5. That's why it's such a cool idea, because we are bringing in pressure. The kind of fun/weird part about this is that right now black can't even really move this knight. You move it here, hello, come to mama. You take this, we'll take that, and you just lost a piece. If you don't go knight to d5, where else would you want to go? You can't really move this knight anywhere. I'll just pick up your bishop. So after f3, king went to f8, defending e7. Now maybe he wants to move this knight around, and at this point you're like, alright, ciao. Alright, so queen f2, I'm attacking c5, take, and queen went to c7. So let's do a little evaluation on this position, because here is one of those really weird moves happened that I never expected to see. Let me rephrase. It's not that I didn't expect to see this move. It was just okay, I don't want to give up the move, so I'm just gonna stop talking now, because I will tell you the move and I really want to ask it. So let's evaluate the position. I have a better pawn structure, I have a better files, I have better targets, so everything seems to be going somewhat nicely, right? No, it's not that we never play f3. A lot of the times f3 creates weakness for king, so we don't play it. But there are times, like right now, where playing f3, like it creates a tiny bit of weakness, but it gives squares more to me than to my opponent. It gave me this f2 square for my queen. So, now what do you think what we should do as white? It's kind of a understated move. Ben is always right. That is generally accepted rule. Most Bens are generally right. No last name needed. Especially since my producer's name is Ben too, so he's also always right. So, no, guys, no g4. Let me give you a little hint. When the game is going in a very chill, strategic way, we don't want to, jump, mix it around. We don't wanna have to. G4 looks quite interesting, but it only helps the opponent because our game is very strategic, very focused on that c5 pawn, and it's very I was gonna say not a dynamic game, but this game is dynamic, but in a strategic way. In like we have so much space. Hello, kitty. We have so much space. We have so much. Oh, cute cat. And okay, I really wish you guys could see what I see. So let me ask you. Oh, hello. Hello. If right now the queens are off the board, would that help us or not? And I have a cutie cat here who I put my cat on a diet. I am not ashamed of it because he was just he had some anxiety because I had a bad week, and because he was anxious, he was eating. I wasn't eating. I lost 5 pounds. He gained a pound over like 2 weeks. So now I'm trying to eat better, and I'm trying to portion his food. So if anybody has any suggestions on cat dieting, not too harsh. They just want him to lose that 1 pound and be better with his eating habits. Oh my god, I'm becoming an overprotective mother. I thought I still had time for this. Alright. Okay. This is the best job in the world. I sit here, I have an awesome audience. I'm doing what I love, talking about chess, with awesome position, and I have this cutie cat here. I love my job. Alright. So, get him on the treadmill. I've tried. He likes to go out and play, but the problem is that he's too cute. So when he goes outside, he has my number around his neck, but even though he has my number, when he goes outside, he goes into people's houses and he hangs out with people, and because he's cute, they don't call me right on time to go get him. So I start looking for him for like half an hour, and then someone is like, is this your cat? Yes, this is my cat. My number is around his neck. So he's a very trusting kitty and very people loving, so he doesn't really. He comes back, he knows the house, but there's so many people who like my cat, so I have to be around him all the time. Oh my god, I'm overprotective mom. Alright. Thank you for your suggestions and concerns for my cat's well-being. And yes, I gave you enough time, maybe a little extra, to think about this position too. Evaluation is definitely that white is a little bit better. White definitely has the upper hand, but we have to be very, 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 very cautious on how we continue it. And the best way to do that is by making the decision to try and exchange queens. So, exchanging queens would be a great idea. Darius, unfortunately, at the end of that line, there's king e7, there's knight e8. There isn't enough to work with on that line. If the king was on g8, maybe, but in this scenario, that does not work. So, queen g3 is, oh, hello. There is a cat here. There are two cats here. I'm very concerned for my safety. Okay. Okay, from next time I'm sitting somewhere else. Here is too distracting. There's a cat here, there's a cat there, squirrels running around. Okay. I apologize. I really, really apologize for my love for cats. Alright. This is getting a little out of hand. After queen g3, it's a very important decision to make, because when we do this queen g3, opponents most likely will take it. I saw that a lot of you were considering queen g3 ideas, and it's very important to stick by your decision, because queen g3, I agree, good idea, but you also have to keep in mind that take. Now, you still have an upper hand here. The rook is taking over this file. There are knights and, bishop attacking on c5, so we're doing fine. Nothing wrong with that. This opponent's knight is quite misplaced. Also quite happy about that. But we should keep in mind that black is not completely paralyzed. So black, Karpov here played h5. He's trying to stop g4. So kudos to all of you who had predicted g4. You were just a little too early for g4. Kitty, you gotta put this big tushy down. Good job. Now after h5, it's a normal endgame where white has somewhat of an upper hand, rook and all. Now, king f2. It's time for the king to come in. Let's bring the king. The problem is that, unfortunately, here, we don't have that clear of a plan. We know we have advantage, but we don't have that clear plan. So that's why we should be quite cautious on how do we proceed with this. After king e2, black went ahead and played g6. Now, this game is still quite long and we are going to go through it, but from now on, for the next, I want to say 30 moves, yeah, pretty much 30-40 moves, it's all about maneuvering, it's all about putting pressure, and it's all about, okay, I'm going to say torturing the opponent. Not physically, don't kick your opponent under the table, but you are putting so much pressure that opponent mentally breaks. The position is a little better for you, but it's not anything for you to, feel that's awesome about. There's not like a clear threat, there's no clear attack, there is no clear, there is just one clear target on c5. So right now it's just a collection of little things that are a little better, that's it. Alright, so here white, oh, bishop g5, interesting idea. But no, the thing is that right now with the king on e8, this knight is just free to go to d7 and protect. So knight d7 is going to happen. So if we don't want knight d7, knight c3. Now, I want to go to maybe b5, poke around here. If you do knight d7, I might want to go to e4, poke around here. So, all about pressure. Pressure, pressure, pressure. We are hitting the mother load of pressure. I don't even know if that's an American expression, but I want to make it one. Feel free to quote me on that with appropriate citation. Alright, so a6 to avoid all knight b5s. And now what? What do you think white should do? This position, this was one of the things that kind of blew my mind. Whoops. I apologize for that. Too long apologies today. Yeah, I expected to feel differently after getting vaccinated. I'm fine. I have no symptoms, just sore arm, same as with all the vaccines. But I just feel very drowsy. Like I slept for 3 hours after I got vaccinated. I have no temperature differences, no fatigue, nothing. I just kind of just want to be under blankets. Could also be that I'm just taking advantage of a little vaccination and I want to spend more time under blanket watching Bones. Oh yes, I've been watching Bones. I really, really need to stop because as fun as it is, I have my MCAT in 8 weeks and I am not ready. I am very terrified of it. So, I see a lot of cool ideas coming in, but no, after A6, now the position has changed just a little bit, just enough for us to go poke back. See? This is another new little poke for me. Now after knight a4, rook c6. Now we shift the rook to h1. We are attacking on h5. We have an idea for potential g4s. Black Karpov played bishop d6, attacking g3. Let's defend that bad boy. Well, actually, this is a good boy. Let's defend my good boy. Knight d7. Remember we talked about the potential of knight d7. And now, can I play g4? Do you think this g4 is a good idea? Do I play on Lichess? I do have a preference for Lichess compared to other websites. I do think that Chess Kids has good videos for beginners, so if you are a beginner and you're looking to improve, that's one thing you could do. So I agree, g4 is a little off, but it works. It works perfectly. Uh-oh, gonna have a cat jump again, so I'm gonna move this microphone. Gonna do a little prophylaxis move. Oh, so many cables. I apologize again for your ears, but I have a cutie cat who his friend is here by the window, so he's trying to get my attention to go feed him. Oh, you took over my mouse, kitty. Put this tushy down. Put it down. Good boy. Alright, so g4. There were a lot of you earlier who talked about g4, and I think g4 at that time didn't make sense, but now it does because I'm trying to open a new file. Now, I will be taking on h5 if you don't take it, so you gotta take, I'll give you a check, and then I'll take back. Now, I understand that the pawn structure looks a little, I don't want to say ugly, maybe unpleasant, but it doesn't matter because black can't really use these central pawns, because if you start pushing, you're just going to open new squares for my knight to go poke at. What is my cat's rating from scale of 1 to cute? He is cute. He's very bossy. Yes, you are. Alright, so here black played with g5. Now, this is a new shiny target for us, so let's go attack that. And again, we want to e3 pawn, we want to give check, so you gotta stop me. Now, I have king, bishop, rook, and knight. 3 of these 4 are quite active. So I gotta activate the one that's not active. And this poor guy over here can use the upgrade. So let's bring it down. If you move the king, and now finally, there was a chance that even if you didn't move the king and you played something like knight e5, I would still either do knight e4 or rook h7. Both of them would be interesting to try. I mean, pretty much next move I would do the other one. So let's say if I played knight here, you take, check, and then I would take over here. So this is one way it could go. So let's go back here. Black white king f7. We expect a knight to jump to e5 soon, but we don't necessarily know exactly when. So before that happens, we should definitely kick this king back, bring our own knight. Now I want to eat your pawn too. Now you can't really do knight e5, right? And black played bishop e7. Here Korchnoi made an inaccuracy. What do you think should happen here? White to move. What do you think white should do? I'll give you guys maybe about 20 seconds. While we're doing that, we do have a very awesome raffle going on with, and I believe today is actually the last day. The raffle is, when you enter it, you get a chance to win a signed chessboard of the strongest all-female tournament, which was Karin's Cup last year. My favorite game from that tournament was when Carissa Yi beat Ju and Jun. I was personally there, I was watching it, and I was just like, man, that girl is great. So feel free to enter the raffle and try your best. Well, I don't want to say try your best. Test your luck. Yes, I guess that's the American way. Test your luck to win it. Alright, so now we have a clear target, right? So let's go attack it. The problem with Rook h6 is that it allows the king to go to f7. This was an inaccuracy. I don't exactly love king f3 because there kind of gives black that knight e5 with check. However, I definitely like the idea of activating this bishop, because right now this bishop just looks okay. It's not really attacking anything. It would be perfect if it was in this diagonal, right? So bishop d2 to go to c3 would be the best thing to do. However, after this Rook h6, it's just an inaccuracy. It's not like we're losing. King f7, he gave the other check, and now finally Korchnoi did this bishop d2. So Korchnoi did the thing, but made the small error because he could have kept the rook on h7 and kept the king on e8. So after bishop d2, finally black got a little breathing room, played knight f8, trying to potentially go to g6. And now, what do you think white should do? So this was another move that really just kind of blew my mind, because I did not expect this when I was looking at this game. So what do you think should happen? I agree, bishop c3 will happen soon enough, but not just yet. We don't necessarily want to do this bishop c3. We would prefer to play something like this is why it's weird for me. Rook h1. The decision to say, okay, my rook's job here is done, so I want to swing it to the other side. That's such a hard decision to make. Let me see. It's kind of like the analogy of like you're in like a relationship. The relationship has its good, has its bad. The good kind of outweighs the bad, but you know it's not gonna work, and you're like, should I cut and run? Should I bring my rook back and go to the other side? It's like one of those situations, and more likely than not, in relationships, we don't do that. I'm studying psychology this semester, so I have a lot of new things in my brain too. But that's the thing. People like comfort. That's the same in chess. In chess, we like comfort. We like to hold on to the plan. We like to hold on to that future idea, blah, blah, blah. So playing a move like Rook h1 is very, very psychologically difficult. It's not a hard move to find. It's not like a super trick or super tactic. So Rook h1. I kind of like this analogy. Feel free to use it, and I hope it helps you in your chess and also in your life. So that's one of those things, like rook h1, very hard to find. Not because it's a weird move. Well, okay, it's a weird move, but because it changes a lot. People don't always like change. So, mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Fragrance. That is true. So, rook h1, king g6, rook d1. This is my lovely file. I want it. I'll get it. I think that was Ariana Grande song. I want it. I got it. Alright. Rook d1 and f5. So, what now? What should we do? What do you think should happen now? Should we take that or should we move the knight? I don't think we should take that, honestly. I think we should definitely move the knight, because if we take it, it kind of opens up the rook. And when we move the knight, let's say knight f2, I could start considering jumping to e5. Here, Karpov made a mistake. Karpov played bishop d6, which was wrong. Instead of bishop d6, Karpov should have played something like bishop f6, or maybe rook d6, or even something like knight h7. He should have started activating his pieces, but he chose the wrong way to do that. He played bishop d6. Now, bishop c3, we've been talking about this move for a while now, let's do it, and he again made a mistake when played knight d7. Something like bishop c7 with the idea of rook d6 would be the way to go. Unfortunately, well, actually good for Korchnoi, because right now we're rooting for Korchnoi, right? Karpov played knight d7. Now, this was another amazing move by Korchnoi. Boom, take back, boom, g4. Right now, the dynamic of the position has changed again, because white is not just trying to create some attack, he's also trying to get squares. Not just about poking pawns now, it's about squares and pressure and all those things that we already talked about. The dynamic has changed a little. Yeah. So yeah, basically Karpov missed this g4 idea, taken g4 idea. He played knight b6. I don't know where this knight is trying to go. Maybe trying to push pawn. I really don't know where this knight is trying to go. Maybe bishop e5 would have been more interesting. You take, and maybe something like this, but you would still lose c5. So it still doesn't really work. So, after not bishop e5, after knight b6, now white went ahead and played king f3. Normal. Yeah, basically. Black is facing some traffic because everything is kind of stuck with the other one. Karpov went for bishop e7, boom, bishop a5. I'm poking your knight. To be honest, I did not understand the move of bishop a5 fully. I thought knight d3 would make more sense, but there was a time pressure. I don't think there was like a super long time, but there was like the second time control was right around the corner, so they didn't want to make that kind of mistake. So bishop a5. Now, black played rook f6. Okay, I'm not gonna let you check me around, so I'm gonna move this guy around. And okay, finally, white's position is very dominating. I have control over center. I have control over king side. You can't really advance anything in the king side. You can't really check me. And I also have control on queen side. We know that ultimately we are going to win in the queen side because we're going to eat a pawn, we're going to push some pawns, and that's going to be the end of it for black. So we're ultimately going to win in the queen side. But first, we are kind of stabilizing the king side and the center. Yeah, bishop f5 also does open d5. Yeah, thank you for that. So now black went ahead and played bishop f6. We're almost done with the game. We have maybe about 10 or so more moves before we reach a super winning position. So let me ask you, white to move. What should we do? Should white take this? Hello, kitty. Sorry, I had to snatch a picture of this. The stray cat is behind here. For those of you who have me on Instagram, you'll probably see this picture. Oh, it's a cute cat. So, should we take it? Ha! Andrew, always take. The thing is, when we take it, this was mind-blowing to me because I didn't think we should take it. I thought that taking it is reaching. I thought that taking just activates black's pieces because now you take it, king g4, and what if check, king moves, and knight c8. I didn't know. So what would I do after this? Now the knight is trying to get activated. The rook is activated, the pawn on g5 could become a danger, so yeah, this would have been better. And good for Korchnoi, Karpov didn't do that. Karpov just played passive and just went back, which was faced by bishop d8. Bishop c7 would also be better, to be honest, because I stop here rook f4s, but bishop d8 was good enough too. Your knights now can't really go anywhere. That's what we really like. Here, Karpov went ahead and played rook f5. Rook d4 doesn't work, which is so weird because rook d4 was my first pick. Because take, king up. Now, you move your knight, I eat over here, and this is not enough. White has easy grasp over the position here. Nothing, there's just not much to do. White easily gets to collect a bunch of pawns and start pushing his own. So, let's go back to not rook d4, and here Karpov played rook f5. Now, let me ask you another question. How should we follow right now? So it's white to move. We have a good position because that knight on c8 is quite paralyzed. The rook on f5 is not also that active. It's cutting our king, but our king is good where it is because it's blocking the g-pawn. So what should we do? What do you think should happen here? I like getting the rook involved, but remember, ultimately our goal is to push these pawns. So let's do that. Let's push these bad boys. Or good boys, I guess. Yeah, let's get the pawn. We are kind of waiting to see what will black do, because here black played something like king f7. Now I can think about, well, where are you trying to go with the king? Knight e7. Knight e7 is not a danger to me. So a4 is not just a waiting move. It's also, you have this idea of trying to push your pawn, so you're trying to do that as well. Why not a3? Well, that's a good question, but the goal ultimately is to get that pawn to a5 and start poking for a pawn on a6. We don't want to exchange too many pawns because we have so little of it left. We don't necessarily want to give my opponent the chance to pick up all my pawns or sacrifice a knight for a pawn or two. Yeah. So a5, and here king f7 was played. Rook f7 could have been also interesting, but if you played rook f7, I could do rook d5 and attack this guy. So king f7, and here white did another fantastic, just chill, super chill move. Rook d3. This move is so chill, it gives me a headache chill. It's a good move, it's a chill move. I don't necessarily want anything with this move, it's just, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Next move, I might want to do king g4, I might want to do a5, I might want to bring my rook to f3 to exchange some of these rooks. So it kind of gives us so many options. So, rook d3, black was a little worried on this. He played rook e5, king g4. I want to eat your pawn. Now, king g6, a5. Just waiting. I want to see what you do. Your knight can't really go anywhere because you move the knight. Check and give me that pawn. Or actually, give me this one, potentially. Depending on where you go, but still. So, instead of knight a7, black played rook e4 check. Now, after rook e4 check, king f3. So, what now? After king f3, check, king e3, rook h4. Now, I have a clear target for these two pawns. Let's go poke them. Let me also address that if instead of rook f4 check, king f5 was played, it wouldn't help anyways because we would just take over here. You can't take because hello. And if you play knight a7, I'll just bring in my rook. So, king f3, rook f4. Now, what do you think? Well, I mean, I already said that. Now, how do you think this the evaluation is? White is definitely better, but just how much? We also mentioned rook h4, rook d5, going to attack both of these pawns. Now, what do you think? What's going on here? Which pawn to eat? Remember, our goal is to empty out the pawns on the queen side so we can push our pawns. Yeah, Manish, I think it's at least +2 as well. Because now we take on c5, attacking over here. That was a very smart choice too. Rook gotta go back, defend that guy. Now again, check. You gotta move this one. Now I'm gonna eat here. So I have two passed pawns. This is also quite a weak pawn. Black played g4. Boom, check. Move the king, bishop c7. I'm attacking your rook. Check, king up. I also keep in mind I want to play rook f2 and eat over here too. Rook b7, bishop h2. I'm gonna keep my bishop in this cool diagonal. No pawn pushing for you. Now we know that this position is better, almost winning. So it's very, very, very important to not give opponents chances to run away, to slip away, to get chances, to get happy, to psychologically feel good about their one little pass pawn. So many different ways to explain this. So bishop h2, black plays rook h7. Now we gotta save this bishop. So this was, again, this here was a little weird to me because we could have just easily played bishop g3 here, but went to b8 and then went to g3. I'm not complaining, but eventually we got the chance to, I guess we could have also eaten here, but we didn't. Korchnoi just went to rook f8, attacking the knight, knight e7, and just simply a6. He tried to stop it, a7, take, check, and I will pick this guy up. Oh, hello Kitty, you're right on time for closing. So, this was an amazing game played by Korchnoi and Karpov. Well, Korchnoi won this game, ergo our tonight's topic of Korchnoi. I really like talking about these awesome chess players, and I really enjoy doing that. I intend to do that for the next few weeks too. So if you have any suggestions, I'm very open to it. Feel free to let me know in chat or DM me on Insta. I'm quite active on there. I see stuff. Now we're gonna have our fun segment of Switch to Twitch. I want to analyze your games on Lichess. So I ask you guys to log into your Twitch accounts, log into your Lichess accounts, and start sending me games on Lichess. Feel free to follow and subscribe. We love your following and subscriptions. I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes, hopefully less. It depends on how long it gets me to do the setup and probably feed the stray cat that's here. So I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. Start following our Twitch channel if you haven't already. Make sure to subscribe to show our love, and have your games from Lichess ready to share over there. See you in a little bit. Have a great rest of your